All right, so next let's make an actual sky sphere. So this is a blueprint that came in automatically, made by Unreal. So that this attaches to the sun. So then when we rotate our sun light, let's find directional light. If we take our sun and if we were to rotate that, it would change the time of day here. And then we also get these fake clouds that actually move in the breeze. And if you turn the light down and rotate it so it's facing up, then you actually get night and you can get stars. Very cool, very well done and everything. But we want to use that HDRI image that we found earlier. I find that you actually get much better quality and it just looks so much better if you do that. So first of all, we're going to select our sky sphere and then hit Control B on the keyboard to find where that is. In your project, there's this engine content that's hidden by default. But if we do that, we're able to find exactly where that is. And what we're looking for is this SM underscore sky sphere. So we are going to select that and then just drag it into your meshes and we're going to copy it there. So now we have that sky sphere that we can work with. This is really just a sphere turned inside out. So we can just use that as our, here you can see it over on the screen. So we can use that as our sky. So when we're in the middle, we'll see out, but if you're out in, you don't see anything. So that'll be good for lighting for us here. So let's go ahead and save all again. All right, there we go. Where am I? Okay. And we're making a sky sphere material. So let's go M underscore sky and open that up. Okay, so before we forget, let's find that HDRI image again. Let's drag that in here. So we'll be able to reference this and make that our sky sphere itself. And there's this handy node used for environment mapping. I'm not sure exactly what mathematically it's doing, but it's called reflection vector for world space. Yep, that's what we want. And then we want to plug that into an add node. And then so that we can offset this along the X and Y, we're going to convert that to a parameter. Let's call that position and plug that in. There we go. And then just take this. I'm not sure what this is for quite yet. I think this is just to give alpha to the vector itself. So you can kind of see what it's doing there, how it's not going to stretch across the mesh. But this is our Cape Hill HDRI image that we had before. And then in order for us to be able to do some very quick adjustments to the brightness of it itself, let's make a power node. This is just mathematically going to adjust that parameter. Let's make a power parameter and default that to 0.5. Yeah, there we go. And then desaturation. If we feel like desaturating it a little bit, we can just do that on the fly. Desaturation. Max value of 1. There we go. And then a multiply, just for good measure. Call that intensity. 1 by default. Okay. And this is important right here. We're going to plug this actually into emissive color because we want that sky to then emit onto the scene. And additionally, instead of default lit, we're going to change that to unlit, so it's not going to receive any lights, say from the sun or anything like that. So you can kind of see what that's going to look like. It looks very cool. Very, very nice detail in there. Actually nicer than the background, for that matter. So we'll go ahead and save. Okay, so we're all set there. And now I'm going to find where I put that. There we go, right here. And then let's delete our old sky sphere and take our new sky sphere, and we'll just stretch it so it's 100 by 100 by 100. Now if we look if we look around, we should see, yeah, there we go. Okay, it is there. It is definitely there. Cool. Okay, so we get some nicer clouds now. Let's also delete our find fog, delete our atmospheric fog. We don't want to worry about that quite yet. Let's find our sky one more time. Sky sphere. I'm just going to go into that material we just made for the sky, and I'm going to try to offset it so we get more of it closer to the horizon without actually impacting the horizon itself. Is this map? Oh, I don't. Okay, I'm an idiot. I didn't map that to the sphere. There we go. All right. Reset that to default. There we go. That should look better. Okay, so now we have that sky sphere, and you can see even the mountains in the background there, but we don't want those, obviously, so we're going to take that position node that we made. We're just going to turn that somewhere. Let's try this value. No. There we go. So it's the Z value. I guess that makes perfect sense. Turn that. Okay. So now we get those clouds looking good. And then we can go in, you can adjust however you want the power, desaturation, and multiply values. So I'm going to take this here. I don't want it to be too blown out, but I want that nice color in there. Oh, that's looking good. Great. Okay. Save that. Call it good. Now, if our sky sphere itself had a bright part where we could assume the sun was, we could then either rotate our sky sphere and the material within it, or we could just take our, well, that sun is actually pretty close to the direction that it's coming from. Lucky me. We could just rotate the sun so it matches that bright part of the sky as well. Okay, so that's looking good. One more thing we can do, if we open up that sky material one more time, if you go over here and you search for emissive, you can make this emissive so it can cast some dynamic area light. We'll do that for now. See how that affects the scene. And then additionally, if we go in here, we can search for emissive, and you can actually use this for your light build and the light mass itself. So we're going to check that box and then boost this to, let's try 5. I'm not sure how much of an impact it'll have. If we look, it's just way out there around our scene. So that is what we want, but it's probably not going to cast light this far. So we'll go ahead and let's save all one more time. Okay, great. So let's look at some of the lighting fixes we'd like to make next. I'm going to turn down our camera speed. There we go. Some of the light fixes we'd like to make next. In the next section of this series, we're going to start breaking apart some of these meshes and start cleaning up the UVs themselves for the lighting. So this floor, let's not worry about that yet. We're going to get rid of those chunky shadows, I promise. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Okay. And we're also going to start applying materials to these as well. So if we look around, there's I'll switch to our lighting only. We can see there's a lot of red happening. That's because of the lights within these. So we definitely need to fix those. So let's start there. Let's see. The brightness looks pretty good. Yeah, I like that brightness value, but we need to make them longer and actually have a width. So we're going to turn the source radius to, let's try 3, and then source length, let's try 20. Nope. Okay, I see what we're going to have to do. We have to rotate each of them. I don't want to do that. Yeah, we'll do it anyway. Okay. So we're just going to delete all of those, ungroup. Let's ungroup all of them and then control left click one of them. So we have all of them deleted now, except for that one. We're going to turn on our rotation snap and rotate this 90 degrees. There we go. I actually want to move this so it's a little bit lower. I think. Let's make the source radius 2. Yeah, we'll just nestle it in there. Yeah, I usually don't have lights that are this high detail. Usually I just put it along the bottom of the light itself and that's fine. But we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to take it as it goes. There we go. Let's make it 300. How's that? Ooh, 250. And again, we don't need it to be precise. We're just trying to get it close. There we go. Okay. And let's do the soft source radius. Let's make that 2. I think that's just going to soften some of those hard shadows that we're getting around here and that attenuation for the light itself. Let's also... I'd like to I'd like to have a very white-ish, almost blue light going on in here. So let's make that temperature closer there. Yeah, I like the idea of the yellowish orange light shining in with the bluish white interior. That's a very nice contrast that I like to go for. So let's take that light. It all looks good here. Yep, yep. Okay, and then we're going to hold Alt and drag it down to copy. There we go. And then we'll select both of those. Do the same thing. Copy both of them. Let's select all four this time. There we go. So now we have all 8 of those lights, and then we'll copy them to the other side as well. Do. There we go. Looking good. We're gonna have to rebuild all these lights here in a moment. Before we do, let's start fiddling with this lampshade. So we have the metal base. For that matter, let's go in and we'll okay, yeah, let's delete our metal chrome and we'll replace that with m_chrome. Do we want that? I know there's some nice metal materials in here we can use. Yeah, we'll use M metal chrome. Use that. Great. So we're replacing all of the Autodesk chrome with the Unreal chrome here. Okay. I'll switch to our lit mode again. And then I'm going to let's go into our starter content. Let's see some of these materials we do have in here. So this tells me it's supposed to be metal bronze. I don't see a bronze. We have copper. Okay, let's copy the copper. We'll just call that bronze for now. We'll come in and we can change it when we want to. Save all. Okay, let's find that bronze again. Delete. Replace with our new bronze and metal bronze. Great. Replace. Yes. And save all. Okay. And you could go in and you could start replacing all these that you want to. We don't have a nice leather yet, I don't believe, but we could do a black metal, aluminum, plasterboard. Well, it's pretty close anyway. Yeah, and we're going to go ahead and assume that these are the materials that our interior designer or our architect had chosen. Oh, nice. That's looking good. Cool. We're going to assume these are the materials they do want, and we're just going to have to clean those up to fit. But I don't see... They probably just... Yeah, a brown leather for that. We'll get him a brown leather. We'll do that. We'll do that for him. Okay, so let's fix this lampshade then. So we don't have a lampshade material that we can reference from the starter content, so we're going to have to make our own. So let's delete everything first. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. And we need the light to actually cast through the lampshade itself, right? So we do like these nice hard lights coming out the sides, but we want it to actually go through a little bit and illuminate within. So we're going to, let's try first making it translucent. Okay. And then let's make a constant value for the opacity. And this is a 0 to 1 opacity. Let's do 0.8. Oh, and for that matter, we should give it a color, huh? Okay, here we go. I don't like to go all the way white or all the way black. When it comes to photorealism, there's no such thing as a perfect white or no such thing as a perfect black. Only a Sith deals in absolutes anyway, so let's not go there. Okay, so let's get it. Yeah, and for that matter, while I'm on the topic, charcoal itself is somewhere around here, and the black-ish values, while pure white sunny snow is not even pure white. So you can use photo reference to help you out there. And I should mention as well the physically based rendering encyclopedia. I'll have a link here in the description. This will give you some really great references to work with as well. So it'll give you sRGB values for common materials like canvas and rubber. Water's covered in here. non-metallic colors for like plastics and rust, things like that. Look at this. It gives you like here's what it looks like, 0 metal to 1 metal. Why am I zoomed out? There we go. And then, yeah, the actual RGB colors for things like bronze that we could reference. So very neat, very helpful. That'll help you dial in some of these materials and explain some of the terminology behind physically based rendering. And physically based rendering is not only used for ArcViz. It's also used for stylized games that like Overwatch and Fortnite. It's the exact same rendering that they're using there. If you think about it, to quote the PBR encyclopedia, even if you're making a magical unicorn that farts rainbows, you still want it to obey the laws of physics and light, right? So these principles apply to any sort of rendering technique you're going for. So I'm also going to make a emissive factor here for that, so we can actually make our lampshade emit light a little bit. We're going to see if we can get a nice look in there. Okay, so this is this is a bit too much right off the bat. Looking way too bright. I don't like that we can see all the way through, so we're going to have to turn that maybe up to, let's try 0.95. Let's turn our emissive down to, let's say 0.1. Okay, that's looking a little better. I still don't like that we can see all the way through. Maybe we just keep this opaque and just keep that emissive factor there. Let's try saving it and then we'll mess with it. Yeah, okay, that is what we wanted. So we'll use this to emit, and again we'll search in here. Let's grab all of the lights, all of those lamps. Table lamp, table lamp, table lamp, table lamp. And for all of them, we're going to search in here and search for emissive, used for static lighting. Great. So it's actually going to be factored into our light mass now. And let's deal with some of these other variables here then too. So we like this value. If we turn it up, turn it down, I think somewhere around 0.1 would be good. It's a bit too flat, so we might think about adding some sort of diffuse texture on there, maybe just to give it a little bit of variety. I'd like to make it a little bit darker. Oh, what if we made it like a grayish blue, so then it's emitting that? There's no difference. There's no difference at all. All right, we'll call that good then. Let's give it a roughness value. Again, we're not going to touch specular, but we'll make that 0.9 rough, just so it's not going to be casting any additional reflection into the scene. We just wanted to keep it pretty straightforward. And no metal, normal. We could add some information in there that would help break it up as well. We'll come back to that if we really feel like we need it. Okay, so that should apply to all of our lamps. Yep, there we go. Great. And I don't like how I don't like how these look. So realistically, if you think about it in reality, there's only one point light in the real world, and that's the sun, right? And we are already accounting for the sun with our directional light. There is no such thing as a free floating point light. What we do have are directional lights like these spotlights here. So what we could do is replace all of those point lights with a spotlight like this. I really want to get around. I don't like how brightly lit this is, and I don't like how it's not casting light out the way we want it to. But again, this is just simulating the light bulb, right? So let's leave that for now. We might come in and we might replace that with spotlights. And then same thing in here. It is, yes, the position of the light bulb, but I would like to get more of a directionality coming up and out. Let's replace the metal for these. No, that is metal, all right. It's just way too bright. Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, Yeah, we're gonna have to do that. So let's select. Let's go to our world outliner again. Select not that, these lights here. Okay. Yep. There's all those. We will just delete them. Let's go up here, make a spotlight. And we're gonna very carefully place it within the light itself and toward the bottom. There we go. Now I want the outer angle to be just past the edges here, right? So we're still going to get that nice shadow that we had before. Let's give it a little bit of an inner angle so we get a little bit more, you know, a nice contoured shadow there. Let's make sure that is set to static instead of stationary. And let's set our intensity to, let's try 40 for now. Let's turn that attenuation down to 300. Yeah, 300 looks good. Now let's do 350. All right, that's looking good. Okay. And now let's duplicate that. Okay, and we still have our rotation snap turned on, so we're going to flip that 180 degrees. There we go. Actually, I want that to be just outside of the light itself. Let's do the same for the bottom. I'm afraid that we're going to just wash out the whole object if we're casting light on the entire thing. And it's actually in the wall. Let's move it out a little bit. Same for this one. Okay, great. And I'd like to make this 30 instead and then turn down that attenuation. Let's try 250. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to get it on the ceiling. Yeah, let's go 350. But we're turned it down so it's not going to look identical. And we'll select both of them, group them again with Control G. We'll slide that down. There we go. And we'll just keep doing that. If we were in an environment where we had hundreds of these to do, think like a stadium or a arena, something like that, what we would want to do, and this is a bit of a tangent, but we could convert this light into a blueprint and then instance that across the entire scene with these lights contained within it. So then you're just copying the entire thing. And you could even select all of those light meshes and just replace them with an identical blueprint. I can go into that if there's interest later, but for now. Sorry about that. Neighbor has a motorcycle now. All right, get that in there. Okay, looking good. And last one. There we go. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. Oh, I like that. I like that reflection we're going to get. But I don't like that there is a reflection on this. It's supposed to be fabric, damn it. Okay, so let's go in here. We will delete that. Let's set this. We definitely want it to be translucent because we're going to have light casting through this. And we want to keep those shadows instead of making it emit. So well, for that matter, the difference between this and the lampshade is when we were standing here, I could see the geometry on the other side. We don't have to worry about that with this fabric. So we're just gonna make it the fabric that we want then. Translucent. Let's set the opacity to, let's try 0.6, and let's give it a base color. Come on, Steve. Let's give it a base color up here. Save that. All right, so we actually get a lot of red still on there. Let's go ahead and update our reflection captures. Still there, that's just part of the light bake then. If we go to our lighting only, yep. But that should go away with how these lights are going to work now. We are still going to have the light hitting all of this red and then bouncing every which way. So for that, we may want to replace them with spotlights, but we actually can't. Well, son of a... I didn't think we could do source length. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. Bear with me. We'll change that to the same parameters we had here. What do we do? 220. 220. Okay. Rotate. Oops. I may jump ahead in the video here just so you don't have to watch me fix my own mistakes. There we go. We'll get rid of that point light now. And then we're going to move that so it's in the middle. Same thing here. We could just instance these, and if we had hundreds of these to worry about, just make it one blueprint. But I like having the control that we have here right now, and we'll just be able to group them once they're all set up. Make the radius, let's do 600. Outer angle, we want that to be pretty wide. This is our area light in the scene, right? So let's not go that wide. Yeah, let's go 70. Inner, let's go so it's mostly facing down. Let's go down to 60. And again, let's get that temperature. Let's get that temperature rolling. Okay. I'm sure someone's going to send me a message and say exactly the temperature value that we have for these lights. I don't really care at this point. We can dial it in as soon as we want to. It does say that it's 277 volt. We get the actual length of it's 2440 millimeters, so we could just do, the 240 centimeters and dial it in. But yeah, I don't want to worry about that much detail quite yet. Okay, get that in, and here's that one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Gotta get rid of those point lights too. Don't double them up. Now if we search for, ooh, I almost made a bad mistake. We want all those to be static again. There we go. Okay, and then let's copy it over here. So at this point, our only point lights should be those lamps, right? We don't have any lights downstairs to worry about. This is the only place in the building they did seem to put lights. It is nice having all of these lights set up in Revit already. That is a nice thing. Most times you won't have that sort of information already put in here. Okay, so before we do our next light build, let's go ahead and do one more little task that'll help us out here. If we go to our modes again, let's search for light portal. This light mask portal is used, this is new as of, I believe, 4.12 or so. I guess not that new. This is used to basically tell the light mask renderer where we want to focus all of the light bounces that are happening in the scene. So I'm going to add this, and I'm just going to stretch it across across this big open area window space here. So let's make that 1000 maybe. Okay, that's pretty close. So when we build the lighting, we have the directional light and the skylight that are bouncing X number of times that we determine. And this tells the light which parts are windows that we want to focus those, rather than those lights just bouncing across the walls and not actually entering the scene. So this will get us some nicer detail and actually improves the light build times, I believe, as well. And we'll do one of those on the ceiling as well, so we can get those skylights tuned in. And yeah, let's make that a little bit smaller. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect, but let's get it close. There we go. And move it up here. Okay. And let's not forget, this isn't our only part of the scene. That downstairs area still needs some loving, so let's select this. I'm going to copy it, rehide or unhide everything. Then we'll take it down here, and that's just a one floor area, so we don't have to get all those tall windows in here. Man, it takes forever to scale these things. How's your day? Let's hear from you for a change. I hope you're having fun. It's it's slow and boring. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. Okay, get that in there. And the last one. We'll rotate that. Here's a fun thing. I should have done this from the start. If we get that into place here first, if you go up to our geometry editing mode, you can actually select vertices, lines, or faces for the volume that you're working on. So let me select that real quick, and then I'll go to that mode, and I should be able to. No, maybe you can't for portals. Oh, because it's not a volume. Never mind. Forget about it. All right, we'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, there we go. Move it into place. Perfect. All right, so that's looking pretty good. At this point, we could go in, if we were happy with these meshes, we could start breaking them up or increasing resolution. Next part, again, we will fix those floors. I don't want to change resolution for anything else quite yet. I know we're going to improve this table as well. Let me take a look at my notes, make sure we're not forgetting anything else. Ah, yes, here's one more thing. So we'll save everything. Let's call this good for the moment. And we're actually going to open a different project entirely. If you go into your library, you should have this realistic rendering project. Otherwise, you'll have to go into the marketplace and find it. It's free. This is basically Unreal's pre-made environment that kind of shows off the rendering capabilities you can get for physically based rendering. And if we open that up real quick, right, I'm not sure why, but OBS did not capture that last 30 minutes or so. I think maybe the hotkey for full screen in Unreal is F11, and that's what I have bound for stopping and starting in OBS. Okay, so you can see it looks very nice. Everything's nice and crisp. These shadows look fantastic. They have directional lights up there. Everything's baked. Let's hide that camera. We don't need it. They have these directional lights pointing in, so you get this nice blue wash in here. I will point out this was made back, I don't know, probably a couple years ago, before light mask portals were a thing and before skylights could have multiple bounces. So yeah, there we go. They could take this a lot further, I think. There's a lot of stuff in here that is old that could just be updated, but regardless, it does look fantastic. There are some really nice shadows in here, and I especially love like the reflection on the leather that you get here. I don't know if it comes across well in the video, but man, that looks good. And one thing I would like to talk about in the next few videos is how to take your project from looking pretty good to really good. So all those little details that stand out that people don't even realize, like you know, like the little tiny marks in the wall that are a sign of someone actually living in the environment, or you know, the wear that you would have on a table from it being in constant use. In this scene, you actually see these coffee stains that are a result of they actually make them like way too bright, but I mean, it adds a lot of detail and a lot of character to the scene, right? So we're here to basically poach cool things that we see, right? So first I'm going to select this mug. I'm going to find where that is in our content, and boom, there's a bunch of cool stuff we can borrow. So let's take this this mug. Let's take the we don't need the plug. Let's take the what else could we use? Let's take the lamp. Maybe we'll replace ours. Maybe the vase socket. I like that can light. That plant. Let's take the statue and the switch. Cool. Okay, so we're going to migrate all those. So you right-click one of them, go to Asset Actions, and Migrate. I will point out you can only migrate to a project the same version or newer. You can't migrate to an old project. So this project is in 4.19 right now, and we're migrating to 4.19. So we're good there. But if we were trying to migrate to like a project made in 4.17, we'd have some problems, right? So I already migrated all the stuff in from before my recording stopped, so we are good. I got it all in here. Okay, so here we are in our project again, and I just done a light build that we'll do at the end of this lesson that we'll come back to. So let's redo this stuff. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Cool. So let's first find the coffee mug that we like. There we go. We'll just drag that right in. It looks a little bit big, so let's make it a bit smaller. Yeah, it looks about good. Get some nice advertising for Epic Games. There we go. Cool. And now we're going to search for coffee rings. And I do this for every project. Drew makes fun of me all the time, but This helps. I swear, people like it. And one thing we could do is we could make it a decal that basically acts as like a sticker that that would overlay onto the scene. I can show you what that's like. If we go up here, we can make a deferred decal, and you can see what's going on here. If we make it smaller, it's basically looking for any surface and casting an image on the top of it. So if we were to add this coffee decal that I made, you can see we get that on there. It's kind of faint, but you can clearly see that. And I made that in the previous version of this, and it looks way too light. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to use this plane that they used in that realistic rendering project, which is just a fairly translucent image that we're just mapping the texture onto. So here we go. We're just going to put it right here under the coffee mug. I think these little details really add a lot. There's this guy who works in this office who just, you know, he just has his coffee all the time, just doesn't clean his coffee mug. You know, that guy's just a mess. It's like just a real mess. But I don't like that it's so obvious, right? You don't want it to be like, oh, look at me, I'm a coffee stain. I stand out and I look like it's a real thing. No, we're gonna turn that down. So if we open that up, we can see how they set up this material. So they have their texture coordinates, and then they're masking out the red and green, and then adding those so they actually get the right area, adding color to it, and it's actually emitting color, which is interesting. Am I in the right one? Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Okay. It's set to translucent, so it's actually emitting at a very dark value. And then the opacity here is multiplying to get that value. So if we actually turn down this parameter, we'll see in real time it becomes more faint. And again, we want it to be a light touch. We don't want it to stand out in itself. We don't want to draw attention to it, but we want it to, you know, all those little details, they add up, right? Okay. That looks good. I don't think someone would realistically have a coffee mug that part of the table. So we'll just move that a little bit. And we could do more with those if we wanted. We could spread them out however we want to, but I think that looks pretty good. It's it's going to help when we have the wood. We might bring that back in. Okay. And so I believe we did this last time before I stopped recording, but we replaced those point lights with these directional lights. Excuse me, spotlights. We have our directional light out here. We have our skylight. We have these spotlights, and then these are the only point lights that we do have, right? And we have these light mask portals that are later on here. And then I did a light build, and I set our light bounces up to 10, both for the indirect lighting as well as the sky lighting. So it's the sky is shining in here, and before it was just doing one bounce, so it would bounce one time and terminate, but now it's bounce, 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 bounce 10 times. So we're getting a much more diffused sort of value and very spread out. It looks a little bit too bright, so we're going to adjust some values before we do another light build. So let's select all of these lights first. Okay, that's too many. So that's all of these. Okay, we'll group those. Let's go into the details and set that to, let's try 25. So we want this nice bright lit day, right? But we don't want it to be overpowering in any way. We want it to mostly illuminate from the outdoor, but we still want these to look lit. Yeah, let's just bring those in. We'll probably bring them back after, but let's just dial them down for now. And we could leave these lights off entirely. I don't know how I feel about that quite yet. So let's select all those, group them, and let's turn it down to say 30. Just turn that down to 250, 350. Okay, so we're still touching the floor. We're still getting the brightness from those, and we'll be able to look up and see that Steve did not put them directly in the middle of the lights. I'm not going to worry about it. And then lastly, let's do these table lamps. Select these 4. Okay, so that done 20. And I do like the sunlight. We'll keep that where it is at 3.14. Let's turn that back to 1 to the default, and let's give it a temperature. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh, I love it. Okay, that's looking good. And lastly, let's just move our skylight up here so we can control it a bit easier. I believe in your version you have it up here already. I just selected the wrong one earlier. And the intensity is down to 0.8. Let's do a little bit lower, 0.6. And yeah, that should be good. So we're not going to get into these world settings quite yet. If you don't have this tab, if you go up to Window and then World Settings, you'll have this pop up. We're not going to worry about the level scale or the lighting quality or the lighting smoothness quite yet, but let's turn these values to 10, like we were just talking about, and we'll get into all those other details in the next lesson. And we'll also get into all the details that we have in here, and then same for the directional lights, spotlights, point light, and skylight as well. So we'll definitely cover all of those. Let's do one more reflection capture build before we do our light build. We could worry about the materials in the meantime. I'm not going to do that quite yet. I like to get some good basic preliminary lighting in before really diving into materials, but we'll do that in the next lesson as well. We have these nice reflections on the windows. I like those a lot. These portals are set up so we'll get a nice, cleaner build. I don't like how that's curved, so I'm just going to add a... that's not going to help. Let's make that... Whew. Okay, we're going to have to fiddle with that a little bit. Let's... Okay. That's a bit better. 300. Yeah, keep in mind we're never going to see from out here, right? That's just not how VR is going to work. You could have people walking through walls and stuff, but we're not going to worry about that so much. Let's turn that down. Try to get rid of some of those splotchy bar lights that we have, huh? There we go. That's better. Okay. I'm not sure what that's reflecting. It's probably one of these lights again, so we'll just bring that in here. And again, a lot of these are going to go away as we get our diffused materials on there. We'll do one more build reflection captures. Okay, that should be good. We'll save all and we'll call it there. Again, the next setting, or the next lesson, we're going to go over those light stuff, settings, materials, and really get into some of the details. So I will see you there.